I've just been baking cookies and reflecting on a conversation I had with a friend a week ago that still interested in, and I thought I'd share it with you, and maybe you find it interesting. We were talking about transitions in our lives, and we all go through these big transitions, like from childhood to adulthood, from school to the workforce, from our parents' home into our own home. And we tend to have practices or rituals around those big transitions that help us make that shift from one state to another, from one activity to another. Candles on the birthday cake and moving the tassel on your graduation hat and, wedding celebrations. And aside from those big transitions, we also have smaller transitions, in our everyday lives. From sleeping to waking, from work to home, from weekday to weekend. And for many of us, we have practices or rituals that help us make those transitions. The ritual before you go to bed of the cleansing and the toothbrushing and all those things that tells your body and mind it's time to go to sleep. And I'm interested in maybe having more practice at transitions through our yoga practice, developing the skills and developing the patterns of making transitions more conscious, becoming more aware of the way that we move through our lives and through the world. And how can we do that in our yoga classes? And, there's a few ways we already do that. How you enter a yoga class. You take off your shoes and you turn off your phone and you roll out your mat. And that becomes a kind of ritual, a gateway from one way of being, from one activity, from one state of consciousness to another. And I'm interested in how we can maybe expand that in our yoga classes and explore transitions, like from pose to pose, making the transitions themselves a place for conscious awareness and making conscious choices in our body. Or the transition, between an inhale and an exhale. And even the transition out of class back into our everyday life and being aware of making that transition more conscious and being aware of how we leave the space and how we get in the car and drive home and enter our home and interact with the people that might be there. And making the act of transitioning something that brings more conscious awareness. Anyway, I'm interested in that, and maybe you're interested in that too. And if you are a movement teacher, maybe this is a week where you could explore theming your classes around transitions and play with that. So I hope that helps. Thanks for listening.